Chaim, dearest friends, welcome. Welcome to our Sukkah. Okay, we're going to start in 1 second. Get comfy, get a cup of coffee, get a mizonot, get a nice likutei tfilas, get a little Reb Nachman, a little Reb Nassim. Let's get really cozy, Chavra. Brent, good mayed. שיכולים לקלקל, תאמין שיכולים לתקן. אתה מאמין שיכולים לקלקל, תאמין שיכולים לתקן. אתה מאמין שיכולים לקלקל, תאמין שיכולים לתקן. אתה מאמין שיכולים לקלקל, תאמין שיכולים לתקן. ליי 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 Bruchim habayim, welcome everyone to our Sukkah, to our special session for Rabbi Nachman's Hilulah, Rabbi Nachman's 240th? 1780, yeah. 240 shana. 240 years ago. You ever it's an amazing thing. Did you ever hear of someone else that's passed away 240 years ago? And they're mamash more than ever? It's an unbelievable thing. So what we're going to be doing today is going just a little bit into the heart of Rabbi Nachman, into our own hearts. B'derech klal, usually, we have the privilege of having in our sukkah on this morning Reb Chaim Kramer. That's the zchut we have every year. We have Reb Chaim Kramer in our sukkah with us. And we could sit and listen to Reb Chaim for years. Hashem should continue to give him good health. It's been a very tough year. Should have good health. His son, our dear chaver and teacher, Reb Tzvi. His wife should have refuah shlema. And all the chaver together in the sukkah. And we sing and sing and sing. And dance and just drink from this fountain of wisdom. We'll do it to the best of our ability today. With some of our favorite Breslover Nigunim. And some of our favorite Breslover teachings. And we'll see where it goes. But sit back, relax, chaver. Be very, very, very open to receiving new chiyut today from Rabbi Nachman. So this is a song called Uman that I wrote pretty close to Rabbi Nachman's kever a number of years ago. I've been singing it a lot over Sukkot. I want to continue. And I want to dedicate this to all the open people. Aye. Not like this tuning, which we can't get a good one. But 1 second, we'll get there. I don't know where it is. I guess this is what Rabbi Nachman's all about, tuning. Tuning up. Sorry, Chevra. Do 1 more second. Everyone's feeling open? Tiferet Katz, you're feeling open? This session is being dedicated Lui Nishmat Asher Zelig ben Avraham on his 44th Yarzeit. Let's go. Da 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 I do 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 da 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 I da 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 I da 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 do di da 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 I da 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 I da 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 I da 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 I da 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 I da 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 di da 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 I da 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 I da 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 do 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 da Sweetheart, can you bring the laptop for 1 second? Tell me I need it for 1 second. You don't mind, right? Thank you, Mituka. Oy, חבר'ה, אין שום ייאוש בעולם כלל. No such thing as despair. No despair, we could tune. I'm da-da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, 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 da-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-da-da, שמח, מועדים לשמחה, געגועים גדולים. היי, בלדם 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 בלדם, please sing with me. בלדם 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 בם בם בם. היי, לה 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 לה. רבינו שר בקול גדול, אין שום ייאוש, אין שום ייאוש בעולם בכלל. רבינו שר בקול גדול, אין שום ייאוש, אין שום ייאוש בעולם בכלל. אוי מצווה גדולה להיות בשמחה תמיד, אוי מצווה גדולה להיות בשמחה תמיד. So if you have your favorite Breslover nigun and you want us to sing it, please send it in the chat. מי שיש לו איזו בקשה לניגון של רבנו, ניגונים של הצדיק, ניגונים של התורה של ברסלב, whatever it is, feel free to write it in the chat. We have a lot to do. I want to sing for you the following nigun. This nigun is a favorite in our household. We sing it by us every Shabbat, every Shabbos. And I learned this, of course, from the Solomon tapes, from Ben Sion's tapes. It's a beautiful, beautiful melody. We sing it Friday night. Sechad Shabbos Samad Abachet Ladut Niklasem Boi Chalon Succa Boi Chalon Succa Levush Bing Dei Chamdois Lehad Likneg Bivrocha Vateichel Kol Avai Dois Leisasu Melacha Leisasu Melacha Leisaneg Besanugim Leisaneg Besanugim Leisaneg Besanugim Barburim Slavendagim Meyen Mas Kol Ninem Madam Libayam Uchanim Tanagayim Mefutamim Tanagayim Mefutamim V'ladech Ba'ikam Minim Shtais Enes Mevusan Yuzafke Adam Libakol Shol Nishpeonim Kol Shol Nishpeonim Leisaneg Besanugim Leisaneg Besanugim Leisaneg Besanugim Bahanurim Slavendagim Nachlas Yakvegida Shlim שיר ברל וסיסקו ניגולה סיסקו ניגולה יוים שבוסים תשמעינו וייסם ניסגולה שישס יומים תבידו בשבי נגילה בשבי נגילה leisaneg בסנוגים leisaneg בסנוגים leisaneg בסנוגים barburim סתם ודגים חפצך אסורים וגם לחשבים חשבוין וידורים מודרים ולשעדיך בנייס ולשעדיך בנייס זינג למדי ספר למנצח בנגינה אלגריף בימי שב וכל פיני סומחנו וכל פיני סומחנוי leisaneg בסנוגים leisaneg בסנוגים leisaneg בסנוגים barburim סלאבנדגים Chachtehei benachas hoine kadolash Ve'hashenam shvachas das nefesh meshivas Das nefesh meshivas V'chein nafshi lecha ornaga ve'lanuach bechiba V'shen shanim suga Yeduchu beinu ba Voyaduchu beinu ba Leisaneg besanugim Leisaneg besanugim Leisaneg besanugim Barburim Slavidagim I am better than better than better than better than better than better request that came in right now to sing one of our favorite nigunim. It's not a nigun from many years ago, it's the nigun from the last 20-30 years. The words were said by Reb Nassim one of the Friday nights that after he met Rabbi Nachman, and he just knew that he came in contact with something he was yearning for his whole life. You know how we have those moments that, as they say, when you go to Uman, you find something you weren't even aware that you were looking for. And so many people feel like that. You find something you weren't even aware that you were looking for. That's the mitziat aveda, finding. And usually we're looking for things that we're not really looking for. We're searching for things that we don't really, really want. But there's something about the Rebbe's Torah that once you taste it, you realize, this is what I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. So before we learn inside, Naftali, I'm so happy, I'm so thankful that you asked for this nigun. These words were said by Reb Nassim and composed by Yisrael Dagan. We just recorded it. Bebresle board esh haver ota belibi Bebresle board esh Averota belibi. Bebreslev bored esh. Averota belibi. Bebreslev bored esh. Averota belibi. Averota belibi. Oh, Averota belibi. Chobed Rabbeinu, the Nachman of Mekor Chochma is Yarzeit today. We know there's something so strong, really waiting for us to delve inside. Let's go. Breslev void ash, and Breslev burns a fire. Averota belibi, burn it in my heart. Breslev void ash, Averota belibi. Breslev void ash, Averota belibi. Breslev boed esh, Averota belibi. Oh, Averota belibi. Oh, Averota belibi. So Rebbe that are with us online, not just in Breslev Boyer Ish, wherever you are located as well, there's a fire. I've been trying to do this every one of these live shidurim, live broadcasts. Can you type in the city that you live in right now, that you're watching, tuning in from? And let's connect these dots of fire throughout the whole world. So type it into the chat, wherever you're from. Breslev Boyer Ish, Averota belibi. Breslev boed esh, Averota belibi. Breslev boed esh, Good Moed, Florida. Averota belibi. Ramat Beit Shemesh, Düsseldorf, Germany. Nachlaot. Breslev boed esh, and in the whole wide world, Averota belibi. Yerushalayim ir HaKodesh, Averota belibi. Howard and Andrea, Mazel Tov, good to see you guys. Good morning. Averota belibi. Breslev boed esh, Averota belibi. Breslev boed esh, Badagan b'zayit, Averota belibi. In Talabi, Breslev boed esh, in the Gevelvu, we love you. Averota belibi. In Velvel boed esh, Averota belibi. Averota belibi. Gavin, thank you very much, my friend, to you too. Oh, Averota belibi. Rabbi Yaakov, Yaakov, we love you. Oh, Averota belibi. Everywhere you at, type us, let us know. Oh, Averota belibi. We're so lucky. Ashreinu ma tov chelkeinu, manayim goyr aleinu. Ashreinu ma tityahu, manayim goyr aleinu. Ashreinu ma tov chelkeinu, manayim goyr aleinu. Ashreinu ma tov chelkeinu, manayim goyr aleinu. you, brother, in Khalish. I miss you, brother. Ashleinu matom chelkeinu manoi goyin olein. 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 La 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 lo lo bam 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 bam. Ashleinu matayim chelkeinu umanoim goyin olein. Ashleinu matayim chelkeinu manoim goyin olein. Ashleinu matayim chelkeinu manoim goyin olein. Ashleinu matayim chelkeinu. Hey, look at Davey, I miss you. Ashleinu matayim chelkeinu umanoim goyin olein. Ashleinu tova goodbye. Manoim refu ashalem. La 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 la. Ba-da-dum, ba-dum, ba-ba, ba-ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-boom. Ay, ashleinu matayim chelkeinu manoim goyin olein. Ashleinu matayim chelkeinu goyin olein. Ashleinu matayim chelkeinu manoim goyin olein. Ashleinu matayim chelkeinu. Statement to the whole world. So I want to learn with you a little bit about this Nikuda of the Breslev Boyer Esh. What is this fire about Rabbi Nachman? What is this fire that keeps on getting, on the one hand, more and more revealed, and on the other hand, more and more concealed? Negalet tefach mechaset tfachayim. Rabbi Nachman is such a secret. But the most beautiful thing that I think our generation has taken from Rabbi Nachman is that we are also secrets. And we are also, the more we are revealed to ourselves, the more we become concealed to ourselves. The more we get to know ourselves, the more we realize there's so much more to know. Rabbi Nachman says all over the place that in order for anyone to function, for us to really function, we must be very makpid on the concept of Yeshuv Hadat, of settling the mind down, of what we like to call here being calm and steady. Settling the mind down. The pace of the world has caused the Yeshuv Hadat to be almost impossible. Almost impossible. So I saw a few weeks ago by Reb Mota Frank, one of the Mashpim in Breslov, he said, this carousel that we're on, there was no one stopping it. The Sivovim were getting faster and faster. Until the Rebbe said, okay, everyone off the horses now, off the horses. זה פשוט לא הולך ככה, לא הולך יותר. And the Rebbe's Eitzot, which we know will be passionately flamed, be on fire, ad bias gol tzedek, by telling us, okay, so what do you do when you get off the carousel? What do you do? He'amanti ki adaber. Well, start talking. Start speaking about what you're experiencing. Start being in touch with what's going on inside of you. One of the greatest mashpim in Breslov, someone who's literally transformed our lives, has been Rebbe Yitzchak Bender. Rebbe Yitzchak Bender is the leading figure in the Breslover Chassidim, and he passed away, I believe, in 1989. The truth is, we began a course on the lives of the Breslover Tzaddikim, the giants, they're called the humble giants. We began it right before the Chagim. We had a few sessions in, and we're going to continue after the Chagim, going through the lives of these giants of Breslov that brought Rabbi Nachman to Eretz Yisrael and brought Rabbi Nachman to you and I, to our Sukkah today. And one of the beautiful sfarim that I highly recommend. It's a five volume set. They just reprinted it. It was out for many years. It was out of print. Called Diburei Emunah. You could learn so much about any topic in Breslov by a pashat sicha, by a simple conversation. A shmuz that Rebbe Yitzchak Bender had given. So, what are one of the eitzot that Rabbi Nachman is very big on? Amongst all the eitzot that Rabbi Nachman told us, Rabbi Nachman was preparing us for a time like we're living in right now, which Reb Shlomo Katz, of blessed memory, said before the 6 million, the whole emphasis was on Aseh L'Charav. Like you couldn't make it unless you were sure you had a Rebbe, you had a friend. You had a Rav. But then, after the 6 million, the avoda shifts to Ukneh Lecha Chaver. It's not that you don't need a Rav, you don't need a Rebbe. Once you have your Rebbe, once you have your Rav, you have to understand, having a Chaver, a real Chaver, is essential for Yishuv Hadat, for settling the mind down. So the Rebbe Yitzchak Bender said that to talk, what does a Breslover do? When he meets a friend, what was Rabbi Nachman's way? He says, when you meet a friend, what's the first thing you have to say? Holy brother, Ach Yakar, Ma nishma atzlecha ba'avodat Hashem? How are you doing with your avodat Hashem? Not just have a friend so you could schmooze about whatever mundane things. I'm sure that's also falls into the category. But the derech of Rabbi Nachman was that when you have a friend, say, listen, let's just sit down and talk about what's irking deep down inside. And to take that avoda mamash seriously. It's not just an optional thing anymore. We need it. We need the whole world to be chaburot, kitot. Instead of big rebbes, what we need is just to have people with a little bit of, group facilitation mode, I guess, and to bring people to meet one another, to be able to speak to each other. Sichat chaverim. So, in the house of Breslover Chassidim, in every home of a Breslover Chassid, it's known very, very clearly that Rabbi Nachman said about his Sfarim, about his Torahs, that even one little dibur of his, can what's called Yevaka Gidim, which means can infiltrate into the sinews, can go inside our kishkas, and to be poil on us, to work on us, to do stuff that we could have never ever imagined. And I know it might seem like very dvarim pshutim, and I think that's the whole chap of it. We could right now begin to learn one of the teachings of Rabbi Nachman inside, which will speak about maybe the spheres or Ze'er Anpin, Atika Kadisha, and all these things which have a time we need to, and we'll get to them. But what I wanted to do today was just to share with you a few different things about Rabbi Nachman and Sukkot. Because I feel that with a few of the stories of Rabbi Nachman and Sukkot, we have an incredible insight into the Avodat Hashem of today. So it's brought down in the Sefer Avanei Barzel that one time Reb Nosson brought an esrog to Rabbi Nachman to wanted Rabbi Nachman's opinion. What do you think about this esrog? Should I buy it or not? And Reb Nachman didn't get too excited. He said, no, fine. And nonetheless, Reb Nosson still felt connected to this esrog, and he went and he bought this esrog. And then, once he bought it, he came back to Rabbi Nachman and he showed him the etrog. And now Reb Nachman was like, wow, what an esrog you chose, Nosson. Unbelievable. Where'd you get this esrog? So, Reb Nosson was trying to figure out, I said, Rebbe, when I showed you this esrog before I bought it, you didn't seem so enthusiastic. You weren't blown away by it. What's pshat now? So Reb Nachman told him something so interesting. He said, listen, if I would have praised it, and if I would have made a big deal about it, you would have gone rushing to the seller to purchase it with such simcha, and the dealer would have seen that, wow, you really, really want this. He would have upped the price. So therefore, I didn't praise it too much because I wanted to make sure that you could be able to afford it. But really, it's a very, very, very meshubach and mehudar etrog. So that's one story, and we'll get back to that in a second. I wanted to look at something else, and this is really like This is a thing in Breslov, what you're going to see right now. Is that one time in the first night of Sukkot in Yantiv, during the Seudah, Reb Nassim had a top student. His name was Reb Nachman of Tulchin. Reb Nachman of Tulchin's son was Reb Avrem Elachazan. Reb Avram, Reb Nachman's, he's the famous Bir Halikutim. Reb Nachman of Tulchin, we owe so much to the Masorah, to the tradition in Breslov because of him. So one time, Reb Nachman Tulchiner told Reb Nassim, okay, that now, after you worked so hard building a sukkah, spending so much time on it, you could taste the sweetness. You taste a different taste when you're in the sukkah. Reb Nassim looked at him and said, but you know what? Odlo nisita mashu. You still haven't tried something else. You ever try screaming all day long, Ribonu Shabbalam Hatimeni Tam Sukkah? Yeah, it's true. You worked hard on the sukkah and you probably feel the time of the sukkah once you built it really hard. But Reb Nassim was telling Reb Nachman Tolchiner, it doesn't come close. It doesn't come close to tasting your own tefillah. When you cry over every nail, when you cry over every branch to taste it, then you feel it. Yeah, of course. If you put up your own sukkah, you're going to feel it. But this is a klal that I think is very, very chashuv. And this is not Chalila preaching. I'm speaking to this happy and broken and sensitive Yidla right here. That we want to taste our mitzvahs. Sukkot is the time to taste the tefillah, to taste the mitzvahs, to smell the mitzvahs. And there is no other way to taste your mitzvahs than crying over them. Hatimeni tam sukkah. You know, when it comes to Purim, Reb Nassim spent a whole month screaming, Hatzileni na mi klipas Haman Amalek. Save me from the klipa of Haman and Amalek. So then you go into Purim, and you feel like you're being saved from this klipa called Haman Amalek. With Sukkot too, a lot of us are under the impression, there's this pressure that we don't speak about. That when I walk into the Sukkah, I'm supposed to feel. It's like this automatic expectation button that we have drilled in us. And then when we don't feel, we always say, if I was really holding, I would feel the second I walk into the Sukkah. But Reb Nassim, who was Makabel from Reb Nachman, is teaching us. You might feel something when you feel the strength of the labor of your arms, no doubt, absolutely. You feel it much more than if you just hired someone to come and put everything up and you just walk into a sukkah. But to taste and feel our mitzvahs, hatimeni na mitama sukkah. When you feel it like that, it's an unbelievable thing. I'm thinking about this when it comes to children. There's this beautiful teaching from Reb Shlomo who says that Yitzchak Avinu was the first Jewish baby born as a Yid, but his whole inyan was that he was prayed into the world, meaning that until Sarah Imenu, there was no akara in the world. There was no such thing as a barren woman. Anyone that got married gave birth. And here, Sarah Imenu, the first Yiddish mama, supposed to be this beautiful light and example to the world. What happens with her? Hashem sagar richma. Hashem doesn't allow her to have children. Why? Because until Sarah and Avram came together, there was no inyan to daven over having a child. You got married, you had a kid, like a Coca-Cola machine. Put in some money, you got a can. Our whole inyan is that we cry our children out into the world. And unfortunately today, there are still people that are still bringing children into the world like before Avram and Sarah did. Meaning that it's just what you do. You get married and then you have a kid and you bring it out into the world. But the way that we learn from Reb Nachman, the way that we learn from the tzaddikim to bring a child into the world, children, Reb Shlomo said, children can sense when they were prayed for or when they were just brought to the world. So in the Sukkah, we take a second and Rabbi Nachman says, you want to taste the mitzvahs of the rest of the year, right? We're going to go out of the Sukkah and we're going to go back to an interesting form of the world. We're not quite sure what the world is going to look like. It would be beautiful if it looked like, like this. But we want to taste our mitzvahs. We want to taste our kedusha. We want to taste our tefillahs. We don't just want to be under the assumption that these things are happening. And the way to do this, the way to be in touch with it more, is to speak about it, is to cry over it, is to ask for it. Achas sha'alti me'es Hashem, ois ravake, shiti beis Hashem, kol yemei chayai lachzos b'nayim Hashem lavake be'echolo. Another thing I wanted to share was a very beautiful Ishbitzer kind of Maisa by Reb Nachman in Sukkah. This is very interesting. There was one time a Yid that invited Reb Nachman. He made this very fancy Sukkah. I don't know if this was in Breslev or in Uman, I'm not sure. Or maybe it was it was either in Breslev or in Uman. It was the last 8-9 years. This person made a very beautiful, glamorous Sukkah. He built a beautiful Sukkah. And it cost him a lot of money. And he asked Reb Nachman to come to his Sukkah and make a Kiddush in his Sukkah in honor of Rabbi Nachman. Reb Nassan accompanied Rabbi Nachman. They get to the Sukkah, and Reb Nassan whispers to Rabbi Nachman, he says, Rebbe, I noticed the Sukkah isn't kosher. It's not so kosher al pi hadin, meaning he looked into certain sides of the chumras, and Reb Nassan realized there's certain things here that are possibly lacking. And Reb Nassan noticed that Reb Nachman didn't even say anything to him. He didn't even respond. It's as if he didn't hear. As they were leaving the Sukkah, Rabbi Nachman turns to Reb Nassan. He says to him, a Yid that works so hard and he puts so much money into the Hiddur mitzvah of Sukkah, you want to come and passel it because you want to leave solato because of chumrot yeterot? I'm not interested in that. I found this story to be so enlightening. I found this story to be so eye-opening and so much more in light of the ruach of what we're looking for today. What are we choosing to be machmir on in our lives? I once saw this very sweet Yiddish about tshuva that he really didn't know better, and he was coming out of yeshiva after being there for a few years, and I felt so bad for him because he spent his sukkahs basically going from sukkah to sukkah because he couldn't find one sukkah that he really felt was totally kosher for him. He started measuring, he started looking. He'd walk into a sukkah, he'd be like, it's torturous. He had no sukkahs left. How do we go to sukkahs? What's this Torah? What's this story teaching us for the rest of the year, for our lives? Is that when I go into someone's sukkah, or I go into someone's heart, when I go into someone's home, I want to be machmir to point out the beauty that I see in them. That's what I'm going to become machmir on. Of course, we're not saying that if something is treif, you look at a piece of ham, you're like, you know what, I'm going to point out how beautiful this piece of... Let's graduate from that. That's not what we're talking about. But if I have an opportunity to find a chumrah and make someone feel bad, or find a beautiful thing about someone in their heart and be machmir on it, if Nachman teaches me from the way he looked at someone's sukkah, that's how I'm going to choose to do it. This story is one of the most beautiful azamra stories of Rebbe Nachman. And I can just imagine, like Reb Nassan, at that moment when Reb Nachman turned to him and said to him, a Yidla that works so hard on his own sukkah and spends so much money on it, I'm going to then go and make this Yidla feel bad because of a chumrah? Not my bag. I can just imagine Reb Nassan's face being like, this is how I want to be. I want to be someone that's so confident in my Yiddishkeit. I want to be someone who's so passionate. Who's so passionate about finding the beautiful nekudot tovot by other people. So we're going to sing a bit more, and then we're going to sing a prayer from Reb Nassan, from Likutei Tfilot on Sukkot. So we're going to sing a bit more Breslover Nigunim. And like I mentioned earlier, we're about to complete a whole album of Breslev Nigunim. Maybe we'll sing one of the ones from the album. This is a beautiful one. We should also sing the Rebbe's Nigunim too. Friends, if you just joined us, type into the chat, tell us where you're from. Let's connect the dots. Let's bring us all under one Sukkah. So I'd love to sing with you Rabbi Nachman's Nigun together. Something happens when we tune everything out and let these notes of this very precious nigun come inside. We usually sing this only under the chuppah and also by Shalosh Shadis. I think it's so wonderful if we could sing this right now and invite the energy of Yeshua Das into our sukkahs, into the sukkahs we're going to take with us out into the world. It's unbelievable what the power of one nigun can do. Oh yo 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 yo. Oh yo 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 yo. Da 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 yo yo. Oh yo 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 yo. Yo 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 yo. Oh yo yo yo. Oh yo 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 yo. Da 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 my yo. I da 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 yo. Oh yo yo. Da 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 da. I da da da. Oh yo 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 yo. Da 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 my yo. I da 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 yo yo. Da 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 mo yo yo yo. Oh yo yo da da da. Yo yo yo. Da hey ay 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 oh. Da ay 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 da. Oy 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 oy, oy 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 oy, oy oy, oy ay 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 da 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 oy oy do 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 da da do oy da da di da da my yo yo oh yo 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 ahoy ni na hino hino yo oh yo 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 oh yo yo da do da 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 oh yo da 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 oh yo yo da 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 oh da di do do di la 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 yo 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 do 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 I da di da oh yo oh yo da di da 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 mo I da di da do oh da 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 do I da di da oh ayo 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 da di da ah hey ya 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 did it I oh I da 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 oh Chaim. A bit more Chaim. To all those who need refuah shlema, those that know they need it and those that don't know they need it. Say hi to everybody. said before, we're going to sing one of the tefillahs of Rebbe Nosson right now. You could live off of any one of these tefillahs forever. Yeah, this is a beautiful one. Those of you that want to look inside, this is Tefillah Kuf Mem Hey, and it's based on a few teachings in Rabbi Nachman, Resh Samech Vav and Kuf Mem Aleph, but this is just so beautiful. Actually, it starts with another nigun. For Sukkah, it's for Tishrei. It's a nigun we've sang many times. Essentially, we want, we want many, many things in the world. But in Elul and Tishrei until Hoshana Rabbah, we say to Hashem, we know that there's only one thing I really, really want. It might seem that I have so many demands and so many requests, but deep down inside, there's only one thing I want. Achas shalti meis Hashem oisal havokesh. There's only one thing I ask of you, Hashem. Is my home should be a home that's fit for you. The place I settle, the place I relax, the place I eat, the place I sleep, the place I talk to my children, the place my children talk to me. It should be a base, Hashem. So in Breslov, this is the nigun Nachas Shalti Meis Hashem Meis Hashem Oiso Avokesh Nachas Shalti Meis Hashem Meis Hashem Oiso Avokesh Shifti Meis Hashem Kol Yemei Chayai Lavtzis B'nayim Hashem Ulevaken B'Echoloi Shifti Meis Hashem Kol Yemei Chayai Lavtzis B'nayim Hashem Ulevaken B'Echoloi Da-da-dai Achas Shalti Meis Hashem Meis Hashem Oitzah Vakesh Achas Shalti Meis Hashem Meis Hashem Oitzah Vakesh Shifti Meis Hashem Kol Yemei Chayai Lavtzis B'nayim Hashem Ulevaken B'Echoloi Shifti Meis Hashem Hashem Kol Yemei Chayai Lavtzis B'nayim Hashem Ulevaken B'Echoloi. This is what Rebbe Nosson says. Achas shalti meis Adonai oisav okesh Shifti b'veis Adonai kol yemei chayai Lachzos b'noyam Adonai Ulevaken B'Echoloi. And the pasuk continues. Ki yitzpeneni besukkah b'yom eda'ah. You hide me, you shelter me in your sukkah on the not the greatest day, in tough times, in dark times, in scary times. Yesterday, never say, hello, you hide me. Oh, you hide me. You keep me close where no one can see. In your tent, Ribono Shel Olam, Betzur Yiramemeini. And with might, with strength, you lift me up. Rebbe Nosson says, Ribono Shel Olam, Master of the world, Rachem Alai Berachamecha Atzumim, V'chasadecha Rabim Behagdoilim. Have compassion over me. Have mercy and love shine, hovering over me. V'zakeini lekayem mitzvah sukkah bizman hakaraui. Give me the great merit to fulfill the mitzvah of Sukkah. B'chol prateya v'dikdukeh v'chavaneiseya, with all its details, every detail is another rose, is another piece of love. And with all of its kavanas, with all the proper intentions one can have through this mighty mitzvah of Sukkah. B'sayag mitzvahs atluim ba, and all the 613 mitzvahs which are dependent on it. Uvelev tov, uvesimcha gdola. I want to do all of this, not like a nebuch, not like a schlepper, but I want to do this like someone whose heart is so filled with goodness and with tremendous amount of joy. Keshiu nimshachim elai, hamoichin hakdoishim, v'chasadim hagdoilim, v'anifloim, hanimshachim, al amcha Yisrael. B'mei chag HaSukkos HaKadosh al yedei mitzvah Sukkah, hakdosha v'anoida me'oi. May it be your will that I merit something that I'm able to draw to me. All the mighty intellect, the holy, holy wisdom that comes down into me with great, tremendous joy, with great, tremendous holiness. On Sukkah, Rebbe Nosson says during Sukkah, under the Sukkah, I'm surrounded wherever I am with so much holy kavanas. May I learn how to draw them into me. They can become my caretakers. Just like Rebbe Nosson says, She'az ima mesakeches al banea. Like a mother who takes her children in her arms and guards them. And in that state, you and I know that no matter what's happening outside of this hug is irrelevant, because it doesn't concern me, it doesn't harm me. This is what Sukkah is all about. In here I know what it feels like to be loved, to be nurtured. Malei Rachmim, master of the world, full of compassion. Malei Rachmim, Malei Rachamim. Achem alai leman shmecha. Please have compassion over me, for your name's sake. I know that part of your name is engraved in me, and the way that I carry myself throughout the world is a shlichus of your name. Please have compassion that I could fulfill it with simcha and with the goodness of my heart. But do it for your name's sake. Atayadatas levavi, you know, only you know my heart. That even though I have a desire, atayadatas levavi, kama nirachok me'od mitzvah Sukkah. I'm so far from really being one with the mitzvah of Sukkah. And that's okay, because I'm ready to admit it. Wow, how many times do I have to cry? How many times do I have to say, Ribono Shleim, I bought another little bit of but this year, please let me be connected to it. I put up schach again, but let me please taste it, taste the mitzvah. Let it be something that's so connected to me. Like right now, there's a guitar in my hand. I want to have the Lulav Ben Ezra in my heart. I want to feel it. And I need to keep on crying over it. שתזכני למוחים קדושים כאלה, לחסדים כאלה, באופן שאזכה לדעס אמיתי, לדעס של אדם. And Sukkahs we say, the reason I sat you in hearts and Sukkahs, Leman yid'u dorotechem, so that we have the amazing privilege to attain da'at, to attain the wisdom, the knowledge, the ability to take all the things we, so to speak, understand and do something with it. We should have da'at, real da'at, true da'at, the da'at of a human being. Like Reb Nosson says, Be'ofen she'esken meheira, latzeit mi behema le'adam. I want to leave the confines of the intellect of an animal and go into the intellect of man. May I learn to have compassion on myself. She'achusa latzmi me'ata v'lo ese od ma'aseh behema. I shouldn't act at all like an animal. I should have compassion on myself and act the way that I know I want to act. Rak eske meheira ledas amiti shu geder hadam. Ve'eske linok me'ashefa shel adam. Ve'lo inai kod mishefa shel behema. My vitality, my sustenance, please God. Everything that enters my body, my mind, my thoughts, may they be worthy of being in the Beves Hashem. Ve'etzeh ve'ele meira migeder behema legeder adam. May I walk out of the Sukkah, poshut like a mensch. So the last nigun we're going to be singing right now is a nigun you all know that was taught to Reb Shlomo by a great tzaddik named Moshe. It's Reb Shlomo's minhag to also say stories, not just about the ushpizim themselves that we invite into the sukkah. And today we know it's the day of Moshe Rabbeinu. Any tzaddik, any holy person with the name of the ushpizim gets mentioned and spoken about in the sukkah. So you all know Moshe and good Shabbos. And this was his nigun. He said that he heard from old Chassidim, old Breslover Chassidim. This was the nigun that Reb Nachman himself davened with. Da 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 my da do 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 yo yo yo. Da da da, mo yo yo, do 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 do, mo yo do do, mo yo 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 yo. Ay 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 ay, da 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 da, mo yo yo, di da do, di da do, di da di. Ashreinu ma tov chelkeinu Uma noim goydolenu Ma yafa Yerushalayim. May it be your will, Hashem Yisborach. The Torahs that the Rebbe said that I know that I need to hear, but I'm not able to hear them yet. Let this be the year that I hear them and they do what they're supposed to do, what they're going to do. I don't fight it. I just allow it to do what it's supposed to do to me. Good Yantiv, good mind, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us. We will see you in about a little bit less than 2 hours, both here on Facebook Live and on the Zoom link. As we prepare ourselves for the rest of the day, we're going to be drinking waters, holy Mayim Chaim. We have our women's learning beginning at 4 p.m., led by Shoshana Yudelman, followed by Rebbe Yehudis Golshevsky, followed by Reb David Weinberg, followed by Reb Moshe Gersh. And tonight, with Reb Lazer Brody, Daniel Ahaviel, Nachum Siegel, and Lenny Solomon. Ashrenu.